सब लैपटॉप पे है क्या?
हाँ
तो लैपटॉप के कैमरा की क्लियर कैसे है? मेरी इतनी खराब है।
आई मीन
कोई नहीं
पता
सोच।
नहीं मेरे को।
तो पीछे से तू लाइट खोल के कर्टन बंद कर देना,
पीछे
बंद कर दूं के साथ?
या बिकॉज लाइट खोलना ब्रो।
so then
स्वामी
otherwise
खोलना क्या
or like sit on your bed.
लाइट खोल दे, लाइट टर्न ऑन। क्या है, शट अप यार।
Fine, fine, wait. I'm done. Deal with it, I'm done. You get used to it.
Fine. So, hi guys, and we welcome you for this discussion on mental health and social media's impact on mental health. We have here with us Ira, Anika, and Sushmita from the law batch, and me, Soumita, and Ved as host and co-host. So, basic question to all of you. Obviously, you guys use social media, Instagram, Twitter, पे सब है ही. So, how do you think that social media has impacted your life and life of people around you? Ira?
अनिका बहुत
All
हंसने
right.
वाली है।
Wow. मतलब ट्राई करते हैं यहाँ पे
सब सीरियस हो रहे हैं, बहुत सीरियस टॉपिक है, वेद चुप हो जा.
मैं चुप था। मैं उसको देख के हंसा।
वेद को हटा दो,
मैं को होस्ट हूँ।
बंद कर कहाँ पे।
बेचारी बोलना शुरू कर रही थी। हाँ,
अच्छा एक एक चीज याद रखना, लाइक जब बोलो ना तो सब लोग म्यूट कर लेना, जब बोलो तो ऑफ मतलब ऑन कर लेना माइक्स, तो बेटर रहेगा इनकेस एनी डिस्टर्बेंस
ऑल्सो
रहेगी तो।
जब क्वेश्चंस पूछोगे तो स्पेसिफिकली डायरेक्ट कर लेना, नहीं
नहीं,
तो
इट्स नॉट डायरेक्टेड टू एनीवन, इट वोंट बी।
तो that's what I'm saying, fucking directed to someone. Now how
हाँ
do we
तब
know
ठीक
who
है।
we want to answer?
Then the
है ना,
awkward
Ira
time.
start कर.
ओके
That's why I started. I just started laughing because there was like an awkward silence.
Awkward silence then whole second.
बोल दूंगी मैं. Fine.
You are Santa Claus, okay? Just for
म्यूट
clarification.
म्यूट एवरीवन, म्यूट एवरीवन।
अच्छा ओके, Ira start.
क्या आयरा स्टार्ट, क्या होता है आयरा स्टार्ट? अच्छा फाइन। पूछा क्या था मुझे याद नहीं, बोल दो।
Impact of social media on your life and people around you.
मुझे क्या पता, लोगों को मैं अपना बताती हूँ।
Oh God.
अच्छा सो ठीक है, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है मुझे बर्प आने वाली है, बट आज नहीं। आई एम लाइक वेटिंग। अच्छा नहीं, ठीक है, नहीं आएगी। तो फनी लग रहा था, लोग सब हंस रहे हो म्यूट पे।
अरे जस्ट सो यू नो, ये सारा रिकॉर्ड हुआ है।
ब्लूपर्स में डाल दे रहे हैं यार, मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है।
नाइस।
हाँ, so with that in mind, like when I started, like I think my first social media platform was Facebook, and for the longest time I wasn't allowed to be on it. I have no idea why, and Anika's environment feels damn bad for me. So
Anika जब लाइट गई उसका फेस तो लाइक ये हुआ क्या?
nee, I said I wasn't allowed for the longest time. ढूंढता ना।
Dave just left at this point. He's just like, fuck this shit, I'm leaving. ये handle नहीं हो पाएगा.
मैं दोबारा बोलती हूँ, ठीक है?
हाँ, start.
So I wasn't allowed to be on social media for the longest time. Like I wanted to be on Facebook, but my mom didn't allow because she was like, "Oh my God, there's so much out there that I don't know." And most parents think so these days, not knowing that we actually know everything before we go on social media, which is why we want to go on social media, to find people who know things that they're not supposed to know, like us, you know. And I think I was in ninth when I got to be on Facebook and all, and it was crazy because the amount of grandmothers I had, I didn't know, but then I did because all of them were on Facebook. And I mean, personally, I think I made this rule on day one when I decided to be on social media, anything, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that this is going to be a space where I ensure that I'm exactly who I am in real life. Because I mean, the facade already exists while you're growing up as a teenager to show people who you want to be or who you think you are. So for me, it was something that kept me accountable for me to be real as much as possible. And that's something I still live by, which is why I mean I do not have like dual identities on social media and real life. If I'm whack on social media, I am whack in real life. And that's also scary because sometimes, because we're going through this phase in life, most of us, and this is how I think it has impacted other people who I've seen in my circles. They're trying to be so much all at once, and then they see people who are being something and they want to aspire to be that, but they're not there yet in their life to actually inculcate those things, those habits, those ways, those identities, because everyone, goes through a whole time cycle of being themselves. And maybe I am at that point and I can show that on social media, but someone else might not be in that point, but they don't have context. So at the same time, so many people are trying to be something, and it's an identity crisis in itself. Even though it started with the fact that I wanted to be my real self, it ended up with so many people trying to be themselves but unable to because they weren't able to reflect what they actually wanted. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Hmm. So, Anika, what are your views for this?
I think it's a whole different spectrum because the first, like Ira, the first social media account that I had was Facebook. But the first time I got my Facebook account, I was in fifth grade, and I don't think I looked into it that much. I just my sister had an account and I wanted one, so I faked my age and I did it, and it wasn't as much as wanting to be something, but having something that my sister had, and I got it. And I, my social media presence at the beginning, at least, was the fact that there was like this dictionary meaning or a meaning of what social media was to everybody, where you would post pictures of yourself or you post pictures of things, or in general post progresses in games, because that's what my aunt used to do. She used to use her Facebook mainly just for like the farm games. So my idea of social media wasn't like a toxic thing to start with, at least, but I think with in general it growing so much and it being twisted, and as I grew, you as you grow up you see it more. When you're small, you notice the games and you notice the small things, and you have your friends and your surroundings, and then soon as you grow up you realize that it's it's not all that. There's like so much to do with social media that is toxic, and what it does to people in general as certain the image that some people put out is how do you say that they only want the good to be there and not the bad. It's not like a whole person that you see on social media, like ever, regardless of how much someone wants to put themselves out there. It's never everything. Sorry if you can hear my dog. It's never everything that someone is. So the effect that I think I've seen on other people is just that the information that is around them, or the um, things that they see, or the things that they think they're supposed to be via the things that they see, um, or the access, or how much people have access to you, and the whole scary idea of the internet and everything on it being there forever, and the general scariness of the internet sort of had an impact on a lot of people, because want everybody to know you, and that's a fair thing, and sometimes scary because there's shitty people on the internet. Um, but yeah, I think it's not fun for everyone, and some of it is fun, some of it is not fun. It's informative, but also can be really shitty.
I mean, I think as you grow up, you realize how toxic it can become for you. I mean, when you start, you're not thinking about कि how it might even turn out. Starting में सब इसको होता है because बाकी हैं, so even I want to be on it. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
I think absolute part was the farm games. सबसे अच्छे थे वो. सबने खेले क्या यहाँ पे?
हाँ
हाँ
वो
यार,
I
वो तो
think
सभी खेलते थे.
वो criminal वाला था ना, where you had the criminal clues on
Oh
the
yeah. Oh god, my sister and I used to play
I
those
don't
all the
remember.
time.
Also, it girl, like that was
yeah.
the start and end of what fashion meant to me. I'm like, make it sick, make it sick.
Dresser games, bro. Yeah.
आर्केड अच्छा था ब्रो. आज के ज़माने से काफ़ी बेटर था, बट वी कैन से दैट एनीमोर. यस सुष्मिता, प्लीज़ कंटिन्यू.
Okay, so it's actually pretty weird that I like before you guys mentioned Facebook. Facebook really never popped into my mind because the first thing that came to my mind was Instagram because that's like the most common one right now. But like when you said Facebook, the one thing that came to my mind, I know that you say that like a lot of people think that like when you were like 14 or 15 when you were in Facebook, it could have been really toxic because you used to keep count of your likes and your comments and like used to compare with your friends. I mean that's something that my friends used to do a lot. So but the weird thing that like came to my mind is that the one good memory I have of when I was 14, 15 is social media for me, which is so weird because I had a completely different identity as a human being in school and a completely different identity on say Facebook because I got to be someone that I've always like been in my head. Like so I in my head I'm this pretentiously like I mean wanna be like extremely funny person in my head. So and like I'm someone who has like a lot like I talk like to talk about let's talk about movies and feminism and like I like talking about stuff like that which my friends didn't like talking about. So like a lot of people in my school like boys mostly used to be really scared of me. They've admittedly told me that they're really scared of me because I put out a lot of strong opinions on social media. This is something that like I've gotten so many times and weirdly I liked it. Like I liked the fact that people were scared of me because of my opinions. So like I liked the power that I got over them. So the only good thing out of like social media was a really really good thing for me. Apart from the fact that I could like be not like like I could post pictures of myself, which is pretty cool. And again, moving on to like the current scenario, whatever. Like I mean, if it weren't for Instagram or like social media, to be very very honest, I would be extremely misinformed as a person. Like I might have been extreme, like inadvertently say xenophobic or transphobic. I could have been like and or even homophobic for that matter. Inadvertently, I would never want to be that person. But like I might have said a few statements, so I didn't know a lot of things that I follow a lot of people right now. Let's say like there's this lady called Trinetra like on Instagram, and she's phenomenal. So like the amount of shit that I learned from her, like like I didn't know a lot of these things. Like I didn't know you could then say like a few things, like you couldn't ask these questions to them. So I wouldn't have learned these things if I wasn't following her right now. So I'm so thankful that like I got the opportunity to like go to people's profiles and learn so much. And like this so inspiring. Like people just like like random people on like it's so weird that the people in real life won't be able to inspire you or like like teach you as much as the people on Instagram or like the way they are on or like social media can teach you. So that's kind of why like social media is like a very impactful thing for me even now. And plus like I get to put forth my stupid opinions and like perspectives, and I get to like listen to what other people like people put forth their opinions, perspectives online very very strongly, and they're very clear about what they're talking about. So how who they are and how they are as a person. So if there wasn't social media, I wouldn't have learned a lot of things, like how people are. Like you can really tell how people are based on how they put forth their perspectives and like how they're not open to suggestions. So like you can really tell. So that's how I learned a lot about people and how to deal with them in real life. So that really helped me as well. So yeah.
It's actually cool. Like Facebook पे you are trying to be cool and sharing stuff. School में कि yes please accept me in the classroom. I'm also cool on social media. Please बोलो ये किसी ने करा है मेरे अलावा.
Uh, I mean, I guess we all tried, but like some of us were misfits anyway.
Because social media पे you want to create that presence among the students कि यार
Yeah.
I'm also from that league, also follow this stuff that you do, so can I be the part of the
Yeah.
cool. Thank God Facebook.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like something Sush said reminded me of something. Actually, no, something both Anika and Sush said. Like Anika talked about, access, and like for her, it was more about taking something that her sister had, like having something that her sister had. And then that reminds me of, how social media is also about reclaiming space. Like it is one place, like the web, the cloud, and all of this. These are spaces that are free to us, but how we use the language. It's a new space for us to give our opinions out. It's a new space to explore yourself. This whole concept of space. But I mean, we hear all these different things. Like for Anika, it was a different experience. For Sosh, it was a different experience. And this taking space, I think the whole idea of social media is very intersectional that way, because where you come from, what strata you're from, what or maybe what league of people you're in a specific class, in your classroom even, there's so much variety. Like how Sir said, ki, you kind of can judge if a person is receptive to opinions, or if they're okay there to explain themselves or something. And then she talked about Trinetra. And that reminded me of something. Like very recently, I put up a post about trans rights and something related to that. And I got so much backlash about it, so much. I could never imagine like I would be bashed up on the internet like that. I mean, I kind of expected it, but the way it went, it was scary, especially because I'm someone who's read and worked in that area for so long, and I've tried to be a good ally. But the fact was that I was still taking space and someone else's, and it didn't matter if I was right or not. What mattered was that that community created a space for themselves, and me as a person not part of that community speaking felt like I'm reclaiming their space, and that happens so many times. Like how it doesn't, I think that's how gaslighting works as well. Like when the locker room thing happened, or when people go up and talk about how what they experience, how they feel, or even try to post screenshots of people they're not comfortable with or don't like, and they just put it on social media. That's such a huge thing. I mean, the person who reposted my story had like 25,000 people following them. And I'm just a college kid trying to do a part, but the backlash. But these are such spaces. You're behind a desk and you have no idea what you can unleash into the world. Like it can be one post and you can be so popular. Your idea can spread so much. It can be one post, you can be completely cancelled. So behind a screen, your existence can be cancelled, manipulated, loved, adored. You can have influencers. I mean, it's too much. It's absolutely too much. And I don't think even at the end of today's discussion we'll be able to say if this is a bad thing or a good thing. Because, like Sush said, it was so much for her as a teenager. And right now, I'm telling you, it's so much for me, but even if it's so much, it can still harm me so badly. I mean, I find that crazy how something and like a space that we can't even hold can have so much effect over us. Yeah.
Yeah. So going on the lines of what Anika said, that people usually portray what they think is, the good parts about their life. They don't post the bad parts. So, you know, do you feel that when you see stories and posts of other people, do you compare their lives with yours, or do you care, the amount of likes and commenting on your pictures, or the reach you have, the number of followers you have? Does it affect you that much?
I think what Ira said before, the fact that there's so many margins and there's such like the internet and social media by and large is such a huge concept that each individual person's thoughts and processes of how they see the internet will always be different. So with the like you're asking the three of us about how our views is like what I
Yeah.
think that. So with she her page is out for people to see, for everyone to see. She puts her art on there and she
Yeah.
expects feedback and she wants to be able to create space. Like how she said, she takes up space. She's simultaneously creating space for information, but not always, but also her art, and it's different niches. And I think different people have different opinions of social media, so it will be some people might compare themselves because it's normal for judgment to happen on the internet, and like human beings in general are judgmental specimen. And I think it's a vague question.
I mean, so what I wanted to say was that comparing your account, your life on social media, when you see posts of other people, your friends, or people in general, or influential people, do you feel that, maybe my account should be more better, or my life should be going this way, or I should be doing this, seeing what they are doing? Do you feel the need of doing that? And does it matter that you know number of people commenting on your picture? Some people have, I don't know, 150, 200 people commenting on it. Well, if, keeping in mind those people are your own friends, and sometimes you feel that मेरी pictures पे तो इतने ही comments आ रहे हैं, इतने ही likes आ रहे हैं. So does it matter to you that much?
Can I say?
Sush, yeah, Sush.
Okay, so the thing is, like the whole comments and likes thing, like it was obviously like there like a long time ago when you were like very young and impressionable. It would have obviously been there naturally. I mean, you can't really blame yourself for it. But then, like I don't know, like right now, at least for me, I think like when you say compare, like when I look at say like even Ira's Instagram, or like someone who uses Instagram or like social media as a way of expressing how they feel through poem and everything, and it makes me so happy because it implies that I can use my Instagram as a way to express how I feel, because I also like write, but I don't like putting my poetry out there. And then like when I see Iras or like anybody who puts poetry or like art or everything, I am so happy because like it means that I have a way, like I can also do that, like it's okay, like it's something that's acceptable. So yeah, it just kind of makes me happy. So I do that. So I actually changed like how I post and everything because of like how other people have been posting. So yeah, it has been very impactful, to be honest. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning my account twice, both of you. Can you just like put it sideways when you edit this part, like
Sure,
at Daydreamers Willow? Help you.
sure,
You will not give
I
Ira
will.
too much attention. Nobody will talk about Ira anymore.
No, you know what? Like, but it's, I think, like I told you in the starting, that for me, vulnerability comes very naturally and I never try to hide it, which is why I have an open account. But more than that, I think for me, comparing things affected me like very drastically because growing up, I mean, what I'm saying is when you grow up in a country like India, in a society like us, and most of us are from the same kind of class, right? You don't see a lot of queer people around, especially Indian people, right? And that was something that came to me when I got on Instagram, like watching brown people in same sex marriages or seeing movies, short movies, or just posts. And for me, that I was able to accept my identity because of that. I wasn't ever at, you know, I wasn't confrontational about my identity ever, but I just didn't realize it because that knowledge base didn't exist. if right now I close my eyes and try to think of like a girl with me, I can't because I only have white examples. I only have heterosexual examples, right? It's so difficult. But Instagram and social media in general gave that to me, like a life beyond where I am, to see that, this is a reality and what I'm feeling is not some random thought that I picked out of somewhere, or it's not some pop culture thing that I'm kind of feeling. It's not a hairstyle. And more than that, it helped my parents understand that. Like yesterday, my mom and I fully dissected Fleabag. I can't imagine talking about Fleabag with my mom, but we did. And she understands. She's like, what's up with Fleabag? She just goes around with anyone. I'm like, that's exactly how I am, but not really. But that's what queer means. Like she doesn't care about genders. And she got it. And that's such a weird way to, figure it out. But at the same time, I was introduced to Gilmore Girls from the internet. And every time I look at Rory Gilmore, I'm like, why am I not in an Ivy League college? It messes me up so bad. So, they're both sides of comparison that has led to some kind of development. But like Asush said, what stage of life you're on, if you're that impressionable or not, but it really depends. Like Anika said, it's too vague to specifically identify if it does or does not.
So, any one post or any one event which, not event, but per se, a thing which went viral, be it boys' locker room or the whole topic of debate over the SSR death case and everything. One incident which has deeply impacted you, one post or any such thing related to that event which has deeply impacted you. So,
Why am I
yeah.
Oh, my something. Okay, I can't. Okay, to be very honest, I don't let any, like, I don't know, particular event or anything like influence me as such. I mean, it does obviously, but I try to retract myself from it as much as possible. But I obviously need to stay informed. Like, this is a kind of a parallel or balance that I've learned to attain, because I realized that staying misinformed completely for the sake of, like, making sure that you're not very negatively affected is not completely okay, is something that I've learned. I used to be at a point where I used to completely stay away from news and everything, so that, like, my mental health stays intact. But I realized that I need to stay informed, so that, like, people around me, like, because it does impact me and the people around me in a way or another. So I need to, like, I make sure that I know what's happening. But then, like, this whole like Sushant Singh thing, and then this whole it's mostly just commercialized like news, so it doesn't make sense to me. So I don't really follow it. So there's no particular like, I don't think there is, but yeah. So I think every single thing came into existence for a reason, and everything stays for a reason.
Okay. Anika?
I think I think for affecting, um, there's been enough, but I never, for some reason, my information in general has never been all from like from social media, but obviously from the internet, but not social media. With social media, it was mainly niches of things that I didn't understand, and I would look in further to understand. Like Sushmita had mentioned about Trinita's account and things about the trans community that I didn't necessarily know, and to hear it from a person who's trans, to be able to understand and not like how you're supposed to. You can't outright be empathetic because you have no idea what the other person feels, but it's such a necessity to empathize with people in like today's day and age, to have that as an emotion. But news that possibly affected me on social media was, I was in general very outright, and I still am. As a human being, if someone decides to have a conversation with me in front of me and have a political argument or a political opinion, the ones that I have with my parents, I can have a proper conversation. But with the on the internet, it's a different type of anger. So there was fun, like conversations on religion in general and religious persecution, and that large, uncomfortable the thing to talk about on social media. With the biggest thing for me was when I decided to talk about the situation in Kashmir. It's a conversation that has been going on for multiple years, but like I've talked to my mom, I have other internet sources, and in general. But then I would see people putting out really misinformed, uh, like economic data and in general about things, and I decided to put my face of things for that so that people could understand, because I'm Kashmiri, but I don't like to associate myself with being Kashmiri because I haven't been through what the people in Kashmir are going through right now. In that sense, I am heavily privileged, and me understanding my privilege still does not help anyone. It's a small step, and there's not much that I can do, and it's very annoying. And the conversations that I had with people that disagreed with me, I think were the most annoying and infuriating. And like I had a conversation with a senior of mine. He's not in our college, but senior in the sense of older than me. And I had a conversation with him about how do I deal with wanting to change things without getting so disturbed by other people's opinions, because there is no right and wrong. It's my opinion and your opinion. And what I feel is right, you may not always feel is right. In general, people's brains are all wired differently, and I can't force someone to think the same way that I do. And for me to wrap my head around that and not want to put all my thoughts on a social media and build myself as a human being and change it like physically was a very hard thing, because there's so many comments that you see on social media that you think are genuinely really stupid and you really want like that. But the fact that you have to control yourself, and it's like, you know what, I'll deal with you in the real world later, because I don't feel like dealing with you on the internet, and I don't feel like having a conversation with a screen. So I'll change things outside because I know that'll make more of a difference in the real world. While social media has huge amount of presence, me being a private account, putting out strong information would only give my followers, a small niche of my followers, what my brain is thinking, and not a larger one. And I'm not comfortable with making my account public and having thousands of people decide to give me more opinions, because I do not have the mental capacity to have an argument every second with the new person. I don't know how people do it. Like God bless, but Jesus. If Ira, like I if people texted me like how people texted Ira, I wouldn't have been able to deal with it. I would just like block all of those people. Like, no, you leave. I don't want to listen to you. But yeah, I forgot what I was talking about.
एक्चुअली मेरे को भी लगा था ये
You
फ्लो
you
जो
were
था.
talking about
सॉरी यार,
sorry,
प्लीज
you were
कंटिन्यू.
talking about Kashmir and how you talked about that, and that's something that affected you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the
Finally, the
conversation.
answer. No, but you
So
know,
the
Anika is
conversation.
actually right. जो news channels, though I don't know if you see, मैं comments बहुत आराम से पढ़ता हूँ. I have lots of free time, and if you go through those comments on the news channel, those pages ना, those are amazing. I swear मैं उसको post करता हूँ अपने stories पे and say कि please के comments पढ़ो यार. That amazing war. It started जब बीच में बाबरी मंदिर वाला जो चीज़ हुई थी, तो उसके ऊपर वायर इन ने एक पोस्ट निकाली थी, ओके. सो ऑन दैट पोस्ट दिस गाय सेड कि नो नो या वी ऑल मुस्लिम्स शुड नॉट बी दिस थिंग, ये वो he just stated a simple fact, okay. This guy out of nowhere, I still remember his username, Jai Shiv Ram. Jai Shiv Ram 123. He came out of nowhere and he starts from the history of when the Mughal invaded India.
Oh my
and
God.
and he wrote approximately 6 to 8 comments starting from history to the present or the was a scenario. और मैं ऐसे आराम से उसमें से पढ़ रहा हूँ कि दैट्स नाइस ब्रो, मेरे को बिल्कुल भी कुछ आइडिया नहीं था. इट हैपेंस, इट्स अमेजिंग ब्रो. और फिर उसके नीचे जो फिर वॉर शुरू होता है, 346 कमेंट्स में 1.5 घंटा बैठ के पढ़े हैं मैंने सारे. एंड इट्स अमेजिंग. सॉरी.
This is BBA.
मुझे
This is BBA nonsense. मेरे पास
मुझे
इतना time नहीं है.
मैं बीबीए से नहीं हूँ.
भाई तुम मास कौन से?
BJMC.
जैसे मुगल्स ने किया, always start with मुगल्स ने ये किया,
हाँ.
always saying something they're like मुगल्स, I'm like
They
That's
start from the history, you know, in 1867 when you invaded us, and then this. I'm like, bro, इतना proper timeline कैसे मालूम है इस बंदे को?
I just want to ask these people, आपको याद है?
मेरे को
Do
बहुत
you
मन होता है. I want to reply them,
मतलब
यार.
क्यों है ना? Oh my,
They
मतलब
honestly ये ना ढूंढ के लाते हैं just for the sake of argument. उनको उस टाइम पे नहीं पता होता है. They just dig in any random shit to start an argument about it.
Like,
and you
नहीं
know
ना, एक्सीडेंटली इंस्टा पे देख लिया मुगल के बारे में कुछ एक बार डाल दिया इंस्टा पे, तो ये ओ फक, ये तो मैं पकड़ के मतलब आई होल्ड इट ऑन सो दैट मतलब बाद में जब आएगा तो अभी कि मुगल के टाइम पे जो हुआ था तो
yeah.
हो जाता.
And normally, if you would be having this conversation with someone in front of you, you can just be like, "Oh, so you remember?" and that'll shut them up, okay? But you type it on comments, it's one line, no one cares. It's not cool anymore. It's
Exactly.
not be like, "Oh, shut up." It doesn't matter because the full paragraph is like, "Ooh, lots of information that I've like copied from Wikipedia." Dang.
They're amazing
But
people.
you know, I don't just
No,
say
but highlight
like
actually helps, right? That single line
no,
comment.
no.
No, one second. On Brute page on Instagram, there's a post. I'll share you if I find it. It's a post on women. Okay. उस पोस्ट पे there's this guy there's this guy, वो you know those typical men जो ऐसे मैसेज करते FRUWLCM वाले. Okay. This guy posted comments using that language, okay. उससे पूरे ऐसे comments भरे हुए थे, no why are you thinking about this, ये गलत है, ये वो. This girl commented just one line, पहले पूरा लिखना सीख sentence, उसके बाद हम पे ज्ञान देना. That was one line, okay. It had 4,000 likes and so many comments. So एक line से फर्क पड़ता है यार, ठीक है. I am a very avid commentator, sorry. I still remember.
But
वो
like,
बहुत funny रहता है यार वो. So like
I don't know.
comebacks. Boo.
Lot of love comments, lot of love comments.
I think like if you want to have opinions, this is just my individual thought, okay? And I know a lot of people don't agree with me. Like if you want to be someone with opinions, I think you should have the patience to not hear people, but not be angry about things. You can't take it personally. It's not about you. Like the whole thing that happened with me with trans people, like getting mad at me, it wasn't at me. They weren't mad at me. They're mad at what's happening about them. But that distinction takes so much time. Like I fully cried for 2, 3 days. I'm like, I did my best. I was on ground. There's nothing I could do. But like one person decides to say, I don't know what her intention is.
Yes, basically like they think कि
My intention?
जो चीज़ गलत
What?
हो रही है तुम उसको और spread क्यों करो? Let's let it be at the pace. We don't want anything. I personally feel that if you write on this comment or you know make a post about something कि you know this is happening and we should talk about them, and for particularly talking about those community irons starting, so this community start feeling कि यार we don't want that type of attention जो हो रहा है already, we can't able to you know absorb it, and you're spreading this thing.
Absolutely.
तो उससे
Yeah.
होता है. That's what I
No.
feel. Okay.
I mean, I think somehow or the other it starts a debate or something between people who are not even from that, community. मतलब the debate starts between people, you, me, and वो जिनको वो actually चीज affect कर रही है, we are not able to fully judge their mindset and we don't know what is going on in their mind, and हम उनकी behalf में when we do this, they get,
हाँ कि
वो
like
इस
why
चीज
you
नहीं
doing
समझ
this
रहा है
thing.
हमारा point of view क्या होता है.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's there has to be a balance. Okay, you can't, not for everything you can't be like you're gatekeeping, you're representing us, you're not letting us speak, or you don't have the agency to. Yes, some places that exists, but that doesn't mean you can't have a conversation about things. Being trans is so personal to an individual. It creates so much harrowing thoughts and so many feelings. You can't always blame it also, but also doesn't mean they're right just because they have like 25,000 followers. I'm not saying they're right. Places where I was wrong, yeah, I can do better, but everything I reported wasn't wrong. But that's why it's scary, because one person, like you said, Swami, they have a feeling. You can't debate a feeling. That's what they're feeling. It's true. It
Right.
doesn't matter what I do. But I think mental health is the topic and all.
Yeah,
So let's move
I was
that.
going to say about
Yeah,
that. Like,
we're going political, but like,
so if so everyone knew during the whole SSR wala case, everyone start talking about mental health, and everyone became mental health advocates on Instagram. So how do you feel that once that topic has died down, now people are not, talk to me if you want to, and the whole post wala thing, how do you feel about that now? The trend is gone.
Anika, was that your answer
Um,
for the question? Just wanted to know that the part that was okay.
I don't know.
I
Ira's like, I
left.
give up. Ira, we lost Ira. We're really sorry for that. Oh, Ira is
We
back.
lost.
Miracle,
I
miracle.
don't know what happened. I
You
don't know what
sound
happened.
well.
I have decided, just for all of you to know, that Jiti Babi, if someone blackouts, just leaves and rejoins. So we'll just say we lost the person, and as soon as the person rejoins, that welcome Akshay Kumar wala scene tha, miracle wala. I'm gonna put that meme between that, if you remember.
What the hell?
It looks like
Fine.
it looks like there's a ring around Ira's head right now. It's like
No, no, that's a earphone, headphones.
no,
Guys, no, it
around
is
her.
a
It's like
ring.
an aura.
Oh yeah, huh?
No,
It's like
can we
I
just
got it.
Have you guys seen the Fleabag poster? This is it.
Okay.
Looks like it.
Wait,
So,
so
would someone?
do we
Would
continue
some?
until Ira's light comes back, or do we wait for her light to
No,
come
I
back?
have light.
I'm
No,
like,
you don't have light.
sub
What do you
black.
mean?
what do you mean?
The black is around.
You need to turn on the lights in your
It was
room.
like this already.
No, it
ऐस,
wasn't
We
like
only see dark, Ira.
ऐसा तो नहीं था मतलब
1 second.
turn on some lights.
I feel like कोई BMW का filter लग गया है उससे.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking at this point. I'm serious.
Oh,
Oh,
fancy lights.
nice. ये तो खराब ही हो गई.
Better?
हाँ. Feels like our room only.
Yeah, it is our room only.
Huh?
It is our room. You're still my roommate.
But you're okay, fine. But I'm not gonna ask any questions. And like,
Yeah. So, can I answer Swami's thing?
Uh-huh.
Now I've fully forgotten what she said. Oh, no. Yeah, I
cutting
remember.
this extra part and all. They're cutting the extra parts and all. No, this me saying this is our room. What the fuck?
No.
Okay, fine. I'm not saying
I'm
anything.
just cutting that part जो आर्या ने specify किया था वो actually cut करना ही पड़ेगा, we can't put that directly on it.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. And also, like, I'll sue you. Uh,
Easy.
no. So, you have like 4 lawyers here, and they'll help me also. Yeah.
And I've not seen any lawyer doing this thing ever.
You've not seen this generation.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Okay. So what Tommy was saying about everyone wanting to be a mental health advocate. I mean, you can take a lot from that. I've never ever told anyone I can help them with their mental health, but I've always made databases for people to reach out, and it's worked. Like when I had 500 followers, still people used to say, we need help, and sometimes you can handle, sometimes you can't. And I think it was damn annoying, especially when I saw my friends and all post that talk to me, we'll be there. I'm like, what? Why? And first of all, we don't even talk anymore, and no one calls. I don't call. I can't say it. You can't say it. You have time to talk to random strangers now. This full like passive aggressive thing is going on in front of the screen. But but the intention is okay only. Everyone got, because you're in this bubble, you're in the lockdown, and you can see inside the bubble right now. You're in the bubble, and everything is clear. Every news hits harder, and there's so much impact, so much light on every specific issue that even though it's overwhelming, everything, yeah, like Sush said, everything becomes political and all, and there's only so much you can argue about it. But that's how most movements start. It doesn't start with like lots of people. It starts with one person who wants to do something. And I think this whole mental health thing, after that has happened, I don't know if it's related or not. The amount of people who've reached out to me to get like numbers or contacts or other things has increased so much. Like, it's, I think I have more numbers of therapists, psychiatrists, and psychologists than friends now. It's scary. But at the same time, the accessibility is so low. It's so expensive. And when they say these pages for like talking, what do you mean by talking? Say more, no. What am I gonna do with talking if I wanna die? Yeah, you'll help, but like, I'm not saying I wanna die. Like, put a trigger warning here, okay? But Vidash, no. The important thing to understand about this is that mental health in our country, people don't give it as much credit or attention as it should. Like, you go to a doctor, you spend like thousands of bucks, you're like, okay, doctor ke jana tha, this much expenditure is going to happen. Every single person who's asked me for a therapist, they're like, oh my god, this is too much. And that's scary, that you think for your mind that's going to make everything function, this is too much. And it's not their fault, but it's just the narrative we've created around mental health. One, that it's so accessible as a friend, so that means that it should not have much value. And third, if mental health professionals come and then they ask for money for the job they're doing, which is so hard to do in India, you don't want to pay because there's your friend on the story who wants to talk to. Who are you? Why should I pay you? I can talk to that friend, no? So you know
I mean,
you're messing up everything by saying that you'll be there, whereas you can't, because you're at the same level as the other person. You don't have more experience at all in life. But it's good, well intentioned, but because we're not taught anything about it, we're not trained, or we're not taught even in our classes how to be equipped with the tools to deal even as like a first aid. you know I know, I think it's a very structural thing that has to be looked at from the primary basis of since we start school or college. Like, yeah, Ridaj, speak.
I think मैं part को cut करूँगा, but I think you lost the flow. I think.
No, I didn't.
Are you sure?
Oh,
Okay, cool. Bye.
I'm very
no,
sure.
nahin, nahin.
Okay.
I think Vedant didn't get it, so I'll explain
हाँ.
in short. The fact
Thank
that
you, Ira.
people,
Thank you, Ira.
it's okay, because you see snippets also, na? The fact that people go out there and put stories that we'll be there for your mental health, or you can talk to us, is one fact that creates a problem in the whole mental health setup, because you're showing that one person through a story can be accessible. So you think the value of that compared to a therapist should be less only. That is why you'll be like, I don't want to pay more for something when there's a person on the story saying, hey, talk to me only, no? So you see how you're creating this
Yes,
whole
yes.
arena where the demand and supply of everything gets messed up, and you don't ascertain the value that a thing should. Uh, yeah, because it's trivialized in some way.
Okay, thank you so much, Ira. Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. Sush, Anika.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Go ahead, Anna, go ahead.
Whereas
All right. Okay. So the one thing that like during this whole posting stories of like talk to me. Am I allowed to swear, by the way?
What?
Am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Yes, you are.
Okay, fine.
डिपेंड्स
So,
किस लेवल
the
तक,
one
एक बार
thing
प्लीज
that
क्लियर कर देना मेरे को.
okay, no, fuck yes.
यार बस ठीक है. ये तो
I
बहुत
don't hate
कॉमन है.
games. RTD. So the one thing that really fucked me up was the fact that the people. Okay, I don't disclaimer. Like I don't really like talk about this, and I don't like discussing. But then the people who bullied me through and through my school time were the people who actually came and like put forth stories and said, "I will talk to you. I'll
Oh,
be there for you." It really fucked me up because I just wanted to go to their houses and just go punch them in the face because I have
oh,
so much pent up anger and I don't like Ira said I have like I personally don't have access to a therapist. I did like at some point like when I was in I did get diagnosed with a few things, but then that was for a very short period of time and it was very expensive. So I still don't have access to like therapy and everything, and so there's a lot of pent up anger and like it's just these people like it's so sad that they don't know, they're not aware of the kind of impact that they've had on other people, and they have the audacity to come forth and be so rest assured that like they can help some people when they are the problem in the first place. So that really fucked me up, and I mean, like, so yeah, I don't. That's pretty much it. So that's one thing that I really hated. That's why I really like didn't talk about it as much because it's not something I like talking about. So,
Thank you for saying.
Yeah, thank you for talking about it.
punch them in the throat, never on the face. Face won't
Not
affect that
That's
much.
only reserved for Vidansh. Yeah. And Nika was saying.
मैं बुली नहीं करता. मैं अच्छा इंसान हूँ, प्लीज.
I think, as Ira mentioned, mental health being like a strange, like not a well talked about or well informed thing in general in society all over, and especially in India in our country, it's more of a yeah, it'll pass. Don't worry about it. It'll go. It's not something like ठीक हो जाएगा कोई बात नहीं.
It's a phase. Yeah.
So it depends about how the people around you that care for you grow or they don't. And with that, it affects you and how you are, depending on how your parents treat your mental health. And if they accept it for what you say it is and they try to understand it and help you overcome, you have more of a better view with regards to mental health than a lot of people would get. But the majority of Indian society doesn't recognize mental health until something happens, which I think by far has been the most annoying thing. And for some reason, there's a very short term memory like span for people. There's a period of time where they care and they think it's important, and as soon as they think it's not, they just brush it aside, and until again it's a whole cycle that just continues and goes on and on and on. You don't put this in, but in comparison to like my school, yeah, don't put it in because I'm talking about my school. uh, how they dealt with a friend of mine passing away was they dealt with it when they saw it for the first 3 days of kids 16 and 17-year-olds going through the death of their friend, and then post that you just had to get over with it, and post-traumatic stress was not even a thing. A year anniversary where kids haven't been able to deal with it when they're still 15, 16, 17, when you're expected to go through something like that and just forget about it. And while that was the first time our school had gone through with it, and then it happened another time with another friend of mine, and they still didn't know how to deal with it. They hadn't fixed anything. They hadn't tried to put more out there, more information to deal with it. It was just us having to grow up and us having to deal with it, us having to talk about it within ourselves, and not much of an external conversation that was opened because No one wants to talk about it. It's from here you can put it in. It's not something that everybody's comfortable talking about. Like with Sushant Singh Rajput, it was something that was worldwide and everybody saw it happen. It was in the news, it had media presence. And not every person that has passed away gets that. Not everybody gets a front page sort of idealistic, oh, let's talk about mental health now since this person has passed away. There's people who are seen as insignificant, and then there's someone who's seen as significant that passes away some way like this. And then it opens a discussion. My problem with it is that why does something need to happen for you to talk about it? I understand people don't think about it until then, but it's hard to wrap my head around it because there were still people after this that I don't know. They seemed more affected about his death. People took it personally, which is I think a thing that everybody takes because they haven't been through someone passing away, and it's a new what do you call it?
Emotion, feeling,
No. Something to do
perspective,
with neurons. Something to do with brains.
new
Sense.
stimuli.
Sense. Something to do with
Okay, I don't know.
Sensation.
I forgot what the word is. Somewhere close to that.
But yeah, we got that.
Yeah. It's a new environment that they step into where like, oh, I didn't know about this. But it's not like it hasn't happened before. It's just that something that you see in the news, so you talk about, that people around you are talking about, so you talk about it. And it becomes more of a trend rather than something that's a conversation of something that's important. I didn't have any. I've been advocating mental health per se with helping people in general before people had to die in front of me for that to happen. And it's not, it's me personally, and not everyone like does that. Not everyone has the informed views or in general have people around them that require someone to talk to. Or I think the whole I'm there for you thing came up because of the inaccessibility of psychologists, psychiatrists, and like counselors that we require. Our college has one counselor, one counselor, and she has multitude of children that come to her, and she can only help you so much. And I think I've had a conversation with her about the whole money thing, where every person that has come to her has a view about how they need to make money because money is important, not your health, not how you're feeling, money, because that's what gets you things. That's what's going to buy you to go to therapy. That's what's going to get you like to be able to eat. And it's a whole stigma. And as much as it's annoying, I think we've had to adapt to saying I'll be there for you rather than giving people access. And now with things changing a little bit, having more free online access to psychologists and forums that have come up for people to be able to call and have an online conversation with a counselor and a psychologist in general, have been more programs that have started and have been there for a while, but now people are recognizing them because they see mental health is being advocated. I should feel comfortable with my own mental health, which means it's okay for me to talk about it. If 17 other people around me in a close friend circle are saying, I'll be there for you, and I'm not comfortable talking to them, and then there's one person giving me this information where I get to talk to a complete stranger that, like, I can tell them my name, I don't have to tell them my name, I would choose a complete stranger. Rather than, if I haven't been comfortable for these multiple years of opening up to you, why will I open up to you now? Why will I decide to open up to you and talk about my mental health? Just because you said I'll be there for you.
I hate this song.
prove it to me. Like, you want to say that you'll be there for me, you prove it. Have you been? No. Will you be? No. Are you right now? Did you text? No. So just, if you, I get the whole concept of telling people that you care about, that you'll be there for them, but don't let it just be words. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was a lot, I think. Vedansh, yes.
Like,
She did not get sidetracked.
uh, क्या era?
Nothing, nothing, say no.
Okay. Who follow Vice here?
I do. I think most of us do.
Yeah.
So like Vice ने ना बीच में जून जुलाई में they rolled out a campaign globally about they just gave people a I think number, just dial up to them, and we'll hear anything. Okay, so this campaign I think went for 2 months straight, August and September something, and they made an entire 3 video series. Okay, on this thing, it's on YouTube. So what they did, they wanted कि इस time जो pandemic के time पे whatever you're feeling, you can just call us and tell us everything. Okay, and they told people specifically कि तुम जो भी बोलोगे we will record it and we'll show it. Okay, आई स्वेयर वो 3 एपिसोड आधे आधे घंटे के हैं कुछ, आधे घंटे 45 मिनट समथिंग कुछ के एपिसोड, 3 एपिसोड थे। और आई स्वेयर अगर एक बार तुम सुनोगे ना, मैं सेकंड एपिसोड तक तो ऐसा हो गया था कि माय गॉड क्यों सुन लिया मैंने ऐसे गलती से, क्योंकि होता है लाइक पुटिंग अनिकाज वर्ड है कि when people say कि we are here for you and they just do it for a day, like for a cause कि हाँ ये सब चल रहा है, and I just do that also to just make myself aware about what's going on around, so people won't talk to you. There might be few people जिनको लगता है कि हाँ यार ये बोल रहा है तो शायद we can just talk to that person for a while, but आप एक बार बात करते हो, 2 बार बात करते हो, you just start feeling कि नहीं नहीं, now he knows everything, now he or she knows everything. I can't, I don't want to jump to another person and tell the same thing about me uh, again to them also. That's what that's what I feel कि why people choose friends over, oh shit मैं word भूल गया, sorry sorry
Therapist.
हाँ sorry oh shit, therapist, I'm sorry. That's my opinion because what happened was बीच में आई रिमेंबर पर्सनली, मैं बताता हूँ सितंबर मिड में जब हमारे एग्ज़ाम चल रहे थे, एग्ज़ाम ऑलमोस्ट ख़त्म ही हुए थे, उस टाइम पे काफ़ी चीज़ चल रही थी मेरे साथ, मेरे इंटरव्यूज़ और सब कुछ चल रहे थे इंटर्नशिप पे, और मेरा दिमाग इतना ख़राब हो चुका था एक पॉइंट पे कि मैंने मेरा फ़ोन फेंक दिया था दीवार पे, वॉज नॉट एबल टू टेक इट, आई स्वेयर। उस टाइम पे मेरी सबसे ज़्यादा बात होती थी नंदल से, नंदनी से बात होती थी मेरी, एंड उसका मेरे पास ऐसे ही मैसेज आया था बिकॉज वी वर टॉकिंग समथिंग, आई थिंक इट वॉज रिगार्डिंग क्लब्स ओनली, तो उसका मैसेज आया था और मैंने उसको बहुत रूडली रिप्लाई लिखा था, बट थैंकफुली नंदन ने उसको रूड नहीं लेके उसने बोला कि आर यू ओके, ठीक है। समटाइम्स एक पॉइंट पे जब आपका दिमाग सर चुका होता है तो उसने लिखा था आर यू ओके। उसके बाद मैंने उसको बोला, मैं उसको सीन किया, उसको मैं छोड़ा, और फिर रात को 10-11 बजे मैं उठा, मैंने उसको बोला आई एम रियली सॉरी नंदल, ये सीन हो रखा है, ठीक है। मेरा दिमाग बहुत ख़राब था, उसको मैंने समझाया, शी सेड कि इट्स ऑल राइट ब्रो, मैंने देखा था क्या हुआ था वीडियो कॉल में, बिकॉज हम लोग क्लब्स में सब साथ में काम कर रहे थे, तो शी सेड कि आई नो ब्रो इट्स ऑल राइट। उसने फिर समझाया मेरे को थोड़ी बहुत चीज़ें कि सब चलता है ही वो, तो आपका दिमाग शांत होता है एक पॉइंट पे, लाइक इट्स ऑल राइट, ठीक है, हो जाता है, देन यू अपोलोजाइज, एंड मैं सोने चला गया था शांति से, पर मैं सोता नहीं, सॉरी। तो मैं अपने काम पे लग गया था वापस से। सो दैट्स दैट वन पॉइंट, एक बार जब आपका ब्रेक होने वाला होता है, अगर उस पॉइंट पे कोई एक बार के लिए संभाल लेता है तो आपको एक्चुअली ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं नहीं, इसी के पास जाएंगे वापस से, गोइंग टू द थेरेपिस्ट। एंड आई एग्री टू द पॉइंट अनिका की, आई थिंक आयरा सेड कि द प्राइस इज द थेरेपिस्ट चार्ज एंड स्टफ, मोस्ट पीपल सी इट कि नहीं नहीं यार लोग सिर्फ बात ही कर रहे हैं हमारे साथ, सो वाई शुड बी पे 5,000 और 4,000 सेशन, राइट, आई थिंक सो। क्योंकि मैंने एक बार, आई डिड दिस वंस इन, आई वॉज इन 11th और समथिंग, आई पेड 3,500 समथिंग फॉर, एंड आई वॉज लाइक यार मेरे को कुछ ज़्यादा समझ नहीं आया, मैं सिर्फ बात करके आया उनसे, एंड आई जस्ट टोल्ड देम ओवरव्यू अबाउट माई सेल्फ बिकॉज आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल टू स्पीक टू थेरेपिस्ट ऑल्सो, एक बार के लिए यू टेक अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 25 सेशंस, उसके बाद लगता है कि नो नो दिस पर्सन इज ट्रस्टवर्दी, ये लिख रहा है चीज़ें, इसको बात बता सकते हो।
I get what you're
I
trying to
think. Hmm.
say. You've built a rapport with your friend and you have
या
already a base to start off in rather than talking to someone entirely new. While that's completely valid. Some people have the people that they can turn to and talk to and say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling like shit right now. I need someone to talk to. But there's what I think what we were trying to say is with regards to the whole I'll be there for you thing,
या
right?
या 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 नो नो
So
दैट्स एक्चुअली स्टूपिड, आई एक्चुअली फाइंड इट स्टूपिड। मैंने भी सोचा कि चलो एक बार लिख देते हैं, बट थैंकफुली मैंने नहीं किया, थैंकफुली मैंने नहीं किया, यस मैंने नहीं किया ये चीज़।
But even people who did, I mean, I just want to say, I feel like even though it's wrong, but they really don't know because no one's coming from the place of that knowledge. Ki they're all like, you know, to know that, okay, so it's very simple. Like, for example, if Sushmita knows, for like, I'm just giving an example, ki I'm depressed and she doesn't know how to react to it, that's not a good situation to be in. She would, most people freak out. We're not equipped to deal with these things. But at the same time, like Ved, you said, ki, sometimes you're at a tipping point and you just like need one person to say something to you, and then you're like, I didn't even know I needed this sentence, but I'm fine now. I can, if even if I'm not fine, I'll get through it. But I feel the important part about recognizing in this is mental health is not just about being okay, feeling happy, or having that moment of connection with a friend, because that all we know, that all comes from kindness, empathy, being nice to people in general, being humane. But what I think is very important, like my main takeaway I wish people would have from this video is that when you're talking about a therapist, they're fully equipped to show you what you can't see. When I talk about myself, it's an idea I have of myself. When you talk to me, you have an idea of who I am. But when the therapist talks, they see what I see of myself, they see what other people see, and their perspective is absolutely objective, which is why it is so important. And it's not just talking, the tools that they give. And I'm speaking as someone who's been taking therapy and sessions for like 2 years, more than 2 years I've been taking therapy, okay? And I know for a fact, like those tools that I've been given, like people have a lot of misconception that you start taking therapy, you can't stop. That's absolutely not the case. It's absolutely dependent on you. And for some people, like I'm a very open person. So I didn't take like even one session to open up to my therapist. I'm like, I want to resolve this as soon as possible. Listen, I will tell you everything in a flow. I have made notes. I fully made notes and I'm like, listen, I know how to go about this. I don't know what, but this is it. So to not trivialize that, because I think one thing that changed, absolutely changed how I look at mental health, and my friend told me this a while back also. Uh, when you start thinking what's happening in your mind, or if you're depressed, or if you have bipolar disorder, or anything, when you give in to the fact that's only your mind doing it, that the chemicals are doing this to you, you are not doing this to yourself, the world is not doing this to you, that's actually scientifically possible. Everything you're feeling is because of that chemical. You disassociate from blaming yourself, you dissociate from blaming it on others, from hating yourself for going through these feelings. And I think that's so important, and that can only come through a healthcare professional, a mental health professional, because your friend will contextualize your pain. Okay, oh, this is why this has happened. They will not say, okay, listen, your serotonin levels are like not going okay, huh? I can feel it. No, you can't. You don't know. But that's what's happening. Like you miss one dose and then you're like, why am I so sad? I was okay. It's it's that extreme, but it's that real. And that's what I want people to understand. Ki it is absolutely sometimes not your fault only. But because you want to listen to that friend, they will contextualize it for you how it's people's fault, the world's fault. Or it's okay, it'll pass through. So I think that part is really important to me.
So in a
I
nutshell,
think
basically Ira.
I have
Yes, yes,
like
please,
one.
Sushmita.
Oh,
नहीं नहीं
sorry.
बोल
Wait,
ले.
just I'm so sorry. I just have like one line to say, like kind of adding to what Ara said, technically adding to what Ara said. So, I'm giving you an example. So, like, there's a high chance that, like, when you're talking to your friend about like something, even if they're like they mean well and they want to listen to you, when you end up talking to like a friend, there's a high chance that even that one expression or that one line they might say, even to comfort you, it might end up inadvertently gaslighting you, and you feel like shit. So, for example, like I actually talked to a very close friend of mine, and I like vented for an hour. And after that, she was saying some really, really nice things that were really like helping. And then like she said this one line. I won't say what it is, and I won't say what the context was. But she said that one line. I went back spiraling, and it took me 3 months to get over. I was in a cocoon for 3 months because of that one line, because it stayed in my head. So anything can happen. Even one line or one expression can do so much. That's why you need a therapist or a professional to deal with you. You shouldn't go to your friends. With all due respect to what they mean. Like they mean well, but yeah.
But I'll just say कि
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
I'll
think while friends are important, I think it's important to have a professional tell you apart from your mental health issues, being who you are and help you disassociate to being some making it something that is a part of you but not doesn't make you who you are. It's not something that should
Yeah.
dog, sorry. No dog. I get
But like,
distracted every time I heard a dog.
yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
They have something to say. They really have something to say. I think they have
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like, the whole nature versus nurture debate also comes here because like there is only so much that is scientific, there's only so much that comes from the environment. So where that balance exists, like if my environment is bothering me, it's creating changes in my body, therefore in my mental health, in my brain, or something is already genetically within me which is making me do things that go out in the environment. How do you distinguish that? How do you sit objectively to do that? I know most of these things because I was a student of psychology. I have a very, like, in my own household, I have a very therapy or mental health positive attitude because my parents, my mom, they've gone through things and someone by chance they went for therapy. So they're like, you should too. But most people don't have that. And I think, like, we don't even, I think most people don't even know the difference between a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist. And that's like basics. Like we know difference between gynae and neuro. It's as simple as that. We do, right? So I think maybe you should also add that in the description, like the conversation with.
sure. ठीक है, cool. मैं वैसे भी वीडियो वो वाले पार्ट से स्टार्ट करने वाला था व्हेन यू सेड इन बिटवीन द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ फ्रेंड एंड द थेरेपिस्ट एंड ऑल दोज लेवल्स यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट. I'll start from that part of the video.
Oh God. Okay.
Like, Samana, do you have questions to ask?
Yeah, I do have, but एक तो मेरे यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा शोर हो रखा है. मेरे घर में around 15 लोग हैं. But anyhow, last question. Do you think it is important to have a social media detox, or to get off social media for a while just for your own mental health? What are your views upon it?
Ira recently put her I'm off social media
Yeah.
testing everything.
Like just this
I
morning.
think we should talk about this.
Ira Chaudhary
Okay.
answer the question first.
So see, for me it's very different. Why? Because I have an open account. There's too much influx of information. There's too many people. I initially said, ki, okay, I'm here for you to talk to and give you resources. Not like, oh, I'm there for you. But sometimes juniors and people want to talk, right? And that's okay. But sometimes you don't have the mental capacity because your own mind is messed up. And then there are these assignments that exist, and this university that we have who does not understand mental health in a pandemic and their way of going about.
Do you
Yeah,
want
I
me to?
can't say that.
No, no. Do you
No,
want
no,
me
you
to?
can fully put it.
The,
Yeah, yeah, fully put it. So the university doesn't kind of understand the correlation between the amount of work they give, or the way they try to compensate an online education vis-a-vis living in a pandemic.
I love how they put mental health week and they really don't give a shit about it.
Mental health week has the most number of assignments. They're like, let us educate you about other things. And at this point, so many things have happened in my life. I can't cope up. I can't. And at the beginning of the session, my first question to Savi was, is this going to come in the next semester? Because I don't think I can graduate. It's not going to happen for me. And with being in courses like law or like more, taxing courses, people are not going to help you at all.
You just roasted me. They're like, yeah, BJMC कुछ भी नहीं है.
No, listen, no.
प्लीज आई
You can,
टॉक टू अनिका अबाउट दिस थिंग ओके. अब मेरे साथ बहुत अजीब चीज़ें चल रही है अभी. ठीक है.
no, you can absolutely have a load. I'm talking purely academic in the very law academic. It's a very personal opinion. Okay, I don't care. I mean, every course will have its own problems. Let me not roast the school, okay? Okay, I'm going to start this part again, Ved, so that you can put it.
इट्स ऑल राइट. तो बीच में भी बोल सकते हैं, कोई सीन नहीं है, क्योंकि एज इट इज़ हम रॉय डालेंगे उठा के. ज़्यादा रेटिंग नहीं जानी इसमें, एक्सेप्ट फ्यू कट सीन जो बताए हैं.
All right.
या सो इट्स
My
एब्सोल्युटली
point being, the fact that we have an education system that does not realize the impact of all these things. This is this is going to be big in 10 years. It's like it's not going to stop. The way that the universities function without any lack of concept, they're not bringing in more professionals to analyze how to deal with this problem. They're bringing in a free resource that you can just call. But that's not what we need. What about the part that you have in it? Did they assess themselves what they can do to make things better? They don't. They fully want us to, they fully want to generalize things that students are like this. They're trying to evade things. Of course, we're trying to evade things.
बिकॉज वी
You
हेट थिंग्स.
want 22 and living in your house. You want 20 and living in your house with all people around you. Tell your mom telling you "Jhadu laga lo" in between class, and then you have to do that too. You're not used to it, and the college made sure that we're not used to it because didis used to come to flats, no. So fully trained to be something else. Fully something else is happening, but we're supposed to respond the same, but under more pressure. They decided to divide marks more into the practical internal aspect and give more pressure in that. How is that okay? My point being, as institutions, we aren't doing much. But I'll tell you this, the corporate world has gone so much beyond. Like, I know places where my friends are working, they've given 2 weeks holiday moving on from next week. They're like, this is too much, you've done too much work, and this whole situation is messed up. 2 weeks complete off. And 1 week before they start figuring out how to take 2 weeks off so that in the end no one's gonna call anyone. That's brilliant. You
Yeah,
can take a mental health day off. That's crazy. And I'm okay sharing something personal. Can I share personal things like specific things?
टिल द पॉइंट इज
Wait.
कंफर्टेबल विथ यू.
Yeah, I am. Like my father passed away last year, and a week. I mean, I got back. Exam started. I had assignments to submit. I submitted it 2 days late. Okay, and my professor asked me to get over it, and I was just like, "What?" Because that was so confusing. And you don't trust them to tell them, but then they know because like teachers gossip. They don't even ask you if you're okay with the information being disseminated, and they're just like, get over it. And then one teacher gets to know who was really mean to me. They come back and they're like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I was mean to you. Why are you generally mean to me? I mean, that's so bad. And so many of us people watching and within us, like we know in school, so many teachers used to get frustrated and like put it all out on the students. Like
That's
teachers,
true.
professors, no one's equipped to deal with this, right, Ved? And it's the impact or the social media thing that these professors, teachers keep talking about that we're stuck with, they don't realize that this is the space they have to also work with. They don't realize their steps as an institution they're supposed to take. It's only on us. The onus is on us to make a change, but no conducive environment to do so in any way.
because
It's kind of messed
when you
up.
talk them about this thing, they have two excuses ready for you. हमारे भी बच्चे हैं
Yeah.
और हम भी बच्चे थे.
Mm.
And I'm like, भाई देख, तेरे जो बच्चे हैं ना, एक बार उनसे बात करना, ठीक है, और जब तू बच्चे थे वो टाइम जा चुका है. ठीक है.
And more than that, bache the, who cares? We don't care.
Plus one.
And you know, yeah, it's always about them. Yeah, this whole othering thing also. Do you see how even in social media, like I think this is a problematic thing where people share their problems and they try to one up each other. I think social media is bad because of that also. Okay, fine, you're sharing your problems, but okay, I've had maybe more traumatic events in my life. Your pain is not less than me. How is it less than me? So all these things no one's taught. No, you have to like go through shit and come to podcasts or videos like this and then learn about it and then figure, oh, I am that asshole. Yeah, I think I should stop speaking.
I'm reconsidering the idea of doing this podcast again. You know, when Anika said na that she heard that many of the students talk to the counselor about the money problem. So like, and I had also talked about the corporate world. The thing that actually bothers me, as a, I'm going to be graduate the next month, okay, and the thing is that हमारे ग्रुप्स में सिर्फ एक ही चीज़ चल रही है कि हाँ हमारी प्लेसमेंट कहाँ होंगी. ओके. एंड आई स्वेयर, जो प्लेसमेंट वाली चीज़ है ना, मजाक नहीं कर रहा, ये इतनी खा चुकी है बच्चों को अंदर से दैट वी हैव गिवन अप ऑन द कमिटी, लाइक जो हमारी प्लेसमेंट वाली कमेटी थी उस पर, हमारे एच पे. सो वी हैड अ मीटिंग विद आर एच. आई वॉज नॉट देयर, बट आई गॉट टू नो दिस थिंग कि एच ने बोला कि तुम 3 साल अगर पढ़ रहे हो एंड यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग अ गुड प्लेसमेंट, तुम्हें नहीं मिलेगी. यू हैव टू डू द मास्टर्स एज वेल, ठीक है, टू गेट अ बेटर प्लेसमेंट. दिस इज द थिंग. एंड I agree कि for now money is like a, that's a ticket for their happiness, and happiness is what something, let's just say peace, you just want peace for a moment, and that's what your happiness is all about. And where do we think it comes from? It's come from money. When you have a stability, you have a financial stability, you think now, yes, I am independent, now I'm happy for a bit, I'm peaceful. So this whole stigma of earning money, it's because कि बचपन से स्कूल से यही सिखाया है कि अगर पैसे नहीं कमाओगे तो क्या करोगे. हैज़ एनीवन एवर आस्क्ड ईच ऑफ योर फ्रेंड कि तू फ्यूचर में जो करेगा ठीक है, तू अभी क्या कर रहा है? किसी ने पूछा था. लाइक व्हाट हैपेंड कि मेरी क्लास में वी हैव दिस ग्रुप छोटा सा हमारे फ्रेंड्स का, ओके, एंड आई मोस्टली इंटरेक्ट विद जूनियर्स. लाइक एक जूनियर है मेरे बैच में, ऋत्विक कपूर, इफ़ यू नो. सो हम दोनों की काफ़ी बातें होती है, एंड वी जस्ट हैड दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन वन डे. उसने बोला कि प्लेसमेंट हो जाएगी, ग्रेजुएट हो जाओगे. आई एम लाइक, ब्रो कुछ भी हो जाएगी, आई हैव नो आइडिया व्हाट टू डू, क्योंकि मैंने आगे कुछ प्लान ही नहीं कर रखा, टू बी रियली ऑनेस्ट. अगर मेरे से इंटरव्यू में तुम पूछ लो कि तुम 5 साल बाद खुद को कहाँ देखोगे, आई एम लाइक, सर मैं 5 साल बाद आई डोंट नो. अगर तुम ऐसे 10 साल 15 साल बाद पूछे, सो हाँ सर, आई थिंक कि अगर 10-15 ईयर्स में इफ़ आई गेट अ बेटर प्लेसमेंट राइट नाउ एंड इफ आई स्टार्ट सेविंग, माइट बी इन फ्यूचर, दैट्स माई प्लान. प्लीज़ कोई कॉपी मत करना. 15 years later, I want to see myself in a foreign land, okay, at a stable house, one wife, 2 kids. I have a food truck. I love to have a food truck. I want to have a restaurant, to be really honest. ठीक है. Yes, I know how to cook food and I cook really good. So that's what I want. कि सब 15 साल बाद मेरे से पूछोगे तो मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन 5 साल बाद मेरे को कोई आइडिया नहीं है. क्योंकि मेरे काफ़ी प्लान्स थे इस साल, ठीक है, बट मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ मेरे को कुछ नहीं पता. बट दिस इज़ द थिंग, द मनी स्टिग्मा, अनिका, कि you want to start as soon as possible to find that happiness within yourself. That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. कि अगर तुम नहीं खुद के पाँव पे खड़े होने वाले हो तो you're not capable enough right now to talk about these very big things like mental health as said as institution and stuff. so they don't care about it generally. सारे स्कूल्स में आई कैन टोटली से इंक्लूडिंग BBA BJMC जो भी है लॉ सबके, वी ऑल हैव एंड वी ऑल आर एक्चुअली फेसिंग प्रॉब्लम्स कि कर दो कर दो. हमारे बैच में तो एक्चुअली में ये भी हुआ था कि बोल रहे थे सर सेमेस्टर कैंसिल कर दो, नेक्स्ट सेमेस्टर एक और पढ़ लेना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं हम लोग को. बट क्योंकि बिकॉज घर से नहीं पढ़ना चाह रहा कोई. आई डेंट पे फीस फॉर दिस शिट ब्रो. ऊपर से 5 मार्क्स और दे रहे हो तुम लोग मेरे को मेरा कैमरा ऑन करने के लिए. आई एम सॉरी, फेल कर दो यार इससे बेटर तो.
हमें नहीं मिलता.
क्या तुम्हें मेल नहीं आई वो?
अबे बोला तो है मेल में.
आया है, हमें भी
आई है
आता
ना.
बिना कैमरा अपेरेंटली. हम क्लास नहीं जा रहे, वो अलग बात है.
वो कुछ नहीं है. मतलब
That
फालतू
makes
का.
sense.
है ना.
That makes sense.
अच्छा नाउ यू मेक सेंस. लास्ट वीक मेरे क्लास में वी हैव 102 स्टूडेंट्स.
Other than
मेरी एक क्लास की अटेंडेंस 9 बच्चे थी, सिर्फ 9 बच्चे. क्या करे यार, घर पे तुम नहीं पढ़ सकते कोई भी, क्योंकि आधा सर तो वैसे ही ख़राब होता है काम में. क्योंकि बच्चे क्या कर रहे हैं, आई स्वेयर, अगर इफ़ यू आस्क पीपल ना, स्टूडेंट्स राइट नाउ व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, दे आर डूइंग इंटर्नशिप्स. सर हमारी इंटर्नशिप चल रही है इसलिए मैं क्लासेस नहीं आ रहा, सॉरी अनिका.
I'm doing 2 internships. I don't even get paid.
मेरी भी 2 इंटर्नशिप चल रही है, ठीक है. और मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा, आई एम अ वीडियो एडिटर फॉर अ कंपनी, और दूसरा मेरा सनबर्न का काम चल रहा है. तो मेरे बहुत अलग तरीके से फंसी हुई है. ऊपर से आई कांट डू क्लासेस यार, मजाक से हट के. बहुत ख़राब हालत है, और एक सब्जेक्ट में शायद मैं फेल होऊंगा शायद. सो आई हैव वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू बिफोर यू लीव. So like Ira just pointed out, said in the beginning or the middle something, that she started sharing things with her parents, okay, about everything. So do you still feel comfortable while you do that right now? You know, if you just go and have a random talk about this thing, or you still feel ki no, they're not, let's not do this thing, I'll just manage it myself or handle myself, something like that. Is that the scene with all of you?
But it's little subjective, no?
Yeah, I mean, for me, if वो content पे भी depend करता है what I am
हाँ आई गेट
sharing,
इट. नो लाइक
the
डेली
topic.
थिंग स्टफ, क्लासेस में ये चल रहा है, आई एम नॉट डूइंग दिस थिंग, ये वो. मैं अभी बाहर जाके नहीं बोल सकता कि मैं एक सब्जेक्ट में ऑलमोस्ट फेल होने वाला हूँ, क्योंकि सबसे पहला चार्ट पड़ेगा कि पैसे दिए हैं, ठीक है. उसके बाद क्लासेस अटेंड नहीं करते हो, तो ये रहता है. यू स्टिल देर आर थिंग्स, यू फिगर आउट कि यार कैसे बोले क्या करें. दैट्स द स्टिल मैं वर्ड भूल गया, बट स्टिल द थिंग इज, do you still able to communicate with your parents, at this era or point? You're still comfortable ki, I'm in a relationship with this person, I'm this thing, ye wo. So उसके मैं ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ.
I feel, I think वही जैसे what I told you, it depends. I mean, for example, I was very comfortable talking about my ex with my parents because हम काफी टाइम से थे साथ में. But if I'm talking to some person new right now, I can't talk about that person to
No,
my
obviously
parents.
not.
और मतलब it's just an example, and I mean बहुत सारी चीजें depend करती हैं यार. They're thinking, they're thinking on their point of view on one topic. I really can't, like my dad, I can't talk about. I mean, he's kind of homophobic, and I can't talk about pride and everything with him. I cannot. I have tried, and the conversation went very, काफी अजीब सी हो गई थी वो. So, why? I think it depends. It's very subjective, like Ira said.
Okay.
Um, okay, so the thing is, like, I think, like Swami said, it's extremely subjective. A and B, like so there's a difference between like talking about your relationships and everything. Like, I do talk about like my like relationships and everything to my parents, but like when you like bring up like mental health and all, like it's not that they won't understand. I am 100% sure that they will understand, because like I mean I'm talking about parents in general. Like they will eventually, like they will obviously understand, because they are your parents at the end of the day. And when you cry, when you're sad, that like it really affects them. Like for the most part it does. So I'm like generalizing, I'm completely generally speaking, I'm not like targeting anybody. So the thing is, like the problem is that, like at least for me, I wouldn't talk about my mental health to my parents solely because I don't want to burden them with more than what they already have. So like they already have to, for me at least, like they already have a lot of pressure, and they have a lot of like things to deal with, and like my grandfather just passed, so my parents are still like dealing with that. So I also have that on me.
Yeah.
So like it's not fair to put that kind of burden on them. According to me, I can't put that burden on them. They would obviously want to listen, they will empathize, I know this for a fact, but I don't want to. I think that's the fact, that's how it is for with most children, as a matter of fact, that they know they'll understand the parents, but they just don't want to share because they're scared that like they'll put more burden on the parents. That's all
Yeah, I
that
think,
it is.
yes, I think I can agree somewhere on this point, Sushmita.
अच्छा, one point before you guys speak, I need to go because मेरा लैपटॉप भी स्विच ऑफ होने वाला है and plus
ओके,
काफी ज्यादा बुला रहे
नहीं हम भी
हैं,
रैप
so
अप कर रहे हैं स्वामी. जस्ट
yeah,
वांटेड टू नो किसी और को थोड़ा कुछ बोलना था. आई थिंक आयरा
I
समथिंग.
Ira and Anika, they are going to say no.
Sure then. Okay, cool, cool. No worries then.
And I need to
So
leave my
what
laptop. Almost is going to go. Yep, it
I
has.
thank you.
बाय बाय स्वामी. हम तेरे को पिक्चर में एडिट कर देंगे बाद में.
So
या.
I think what comes to my mind when you ask this question is so many of our parents need therapy. Like we still have this conversation, their age and time did not have this conversation or resource in like didn't even know concept ही नहीं था. And the only reason I can talk to my mom about my mental health is because I know her mental health and she takes help. So, and it's not like we depressed or we have any disorder. We take it for mental well-being up, just to
I'm so sorry.
like,
Samita का message आ रहा. Sorry.
yeah.
Can you see Samita freeze up here? I
Mm-hmm.
can see. ठीक है, please continue. Good. It's good for the recording. बस Samita is like कि I'm really sorry. वो पता नहीं मैं कैसे freeze हो गई हूँ वो laptop से.
Anika, why don't you go? I have lost my flow.
I'm really sorry, Ara. I'm really sorry.
It's fine.
I don't think it's fine, but okay. Thank you for saying that.
I think with regards to talking to my parents, like Ira mentioned, a lot of the fact that a lot of our parents require a large amount of therapy for whatever they've had or gone through with their childhood and whatever they are going through even right now. While it's like a whole silent battle of them not knowing what their kids are going through to us not knowing exactly what they're going through, depending from relationship to relationship between parent and child, whether they have a relationship like I mentioned with her mom and how she feels as though she can talk to her mom because there's a certain level of understanding. Can I say that, Ida?
Yeah, more than that, exposure, you know, to the same kind of mental health infrastructure that I did. So that way, you can relate. And if I say I'm not feeling good, she'll be like, "Do you want to take a session?" Not ki, "Oh, listen, it's okay. People get anxious. It'll get better." She'll be like, "Do you want to take a session? Why are you not continuing your sessions?" Because just like working out and exercise and trying to get abs all lockdown, the whole idea of mental health is a continuum. It does not stop. You don't stop working on it. There's no end point in now I'm fine. You know, life doesn't stop the whole cycle. It's a continuum and it'll keep happening and you have to update yourself. Like the previous question you asked, which is why I left like Instagram today, because I needed a while to cope up with some feelings that, mess me up right now. And yeah, and my mom knows because we've had that conversation. But like as Sush said, I think that's important. We feel like we shouldn't burden our parents and they feel like they shouldn't burden us. So there's this lack of communication constantly, and that's not healthy. I mean, this relation my mom doesn't have that relationship with her parents. Like she can't also. So that's not healthy. Like even between friends, if we can't tell each other that I'm burdened by this, that's not healthy either. So I think that kind of works always. Yeah, Anika was saying.
No, I forgot what I was saying.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
It's fully okay. Babe.
I just see. I'm not actually a lot. I'm not aware about few of the things. Okay, that's happening. That's actually no, it's happening or has I don't know. जो हो चुकी है. Fuck it. Okay. please educate me on this thing. When people put like he slash his and she slash her, what is what does that actually mean? I swear मेरे को नहीं पता. ठीक है मैं मजाक मजाक भी नहीं कर रहा. Like you know I
That's completely
just
fine.
when I just see it I'm like okay I'm not answering ये first person से third person क्यों लिखा हुआ है खुद के बारे में. Basic मेरे दिमाग I'm sorry. Like
No, no, you don't have to be sorry. It's a very genuine question. Anika, do you want to answer?
It's actually good that you're asking questions. Most
Yeah,
people
like, I
just
think that's the
make
most
fun of it.
important thing.
because
Most people just make fun of me for putting that on my
I would
bios.
rather get educated and then say something before opening my mouth and getting insulted.
Which is great.
Please
Yeah,
मेरे को
that's
जानना
super
था.
important.
You can
I
directly
don't
ask the persons को मैसेज करे कि तूने श्री स्लैश हर क्यों लिखा हुआ है तूने अपने बायो में.
You should ask only.
No,
I think you should definitely ask.
I'm really afraid. I'm sorry, I can't. Mm,
No, that also I understand you being afraid.
know. But now
Uh,
you, Ira, go for it.
so, so he and she basically are gender pronouns, right?
yeah.
Like you're. So I think the first question comes. He, wait, do you identify as a man?
Okay, you asking me or you just talking to me? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No, I'm asking you.
yeah. I do, I do.
And that's the first intent, not assuming a person's identity, which is why they put it. So when I'm talking to you, I'm not going to assume you're a man, you're a woman, you're a trans person, you're a non-binary person. I will say, I don't know. I will say, how do you identify? What are the gender pronouns you'd like me to use for you?
Okay,
So, for example, if I'm Ira, I was like born or been given like the tag that I've been born with female genitalia, and then society tells me that my gender is female. Do I identify as the same gender that corresponds to my sex or no? If I don't, and I want to confine to other gender pronouns like Z, they, his, he, I will write them down so that you know how to talk to me. And when you talk to me, I don't feel horrible because you assumed my gender identity. Because so many people assume people's identity and then they feel gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is when the sex and the gender does not match, and that creates like some sort of mental impact on them.
okay,
So,
okay.
मतलब थोड़ा clear?
Yeah, definitely. नहीं, actually, मैं क्योंकि no, I seriously had no idea. I used to see profiles and like they used to write she slash her, then नीचे artist or mostly he slash his. So I used to get a bit confused. कि okay, I had no idea कि why they wrote that thing. I usually thought that it was a first or third person thing for me.
No,
I'll
and
just put
it's
it that way.
also not like ki only people who are part of SOGSC communities or like LGBT or queer, whatever you want to call it, communities. It's hetero cisgender people also put it so that it creates a culture ki you don't have to assume. Even if you're a man, you put it so that you can say ki for someone who doesn't, it's not an obvious thing. So that there's more acceptance about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that thank God. Okay, cool. No, because I didn't know thing. Okay, that's the thing. Yes. Okay, so does anyone want to conclude anything or like want to say something about today's session or something?
No, actually, thank you. Like, I actually really needed this for like big time. I don't know for some reason. I think this is really helpful for some reason. Like just hearing perspectives and hearing stories and like anecdotes or something. It was really fun to be honest. This is the like the fun, really most fun thing that I've done in a very long time. Ironically.
Thank you, Shushmita. Because initially what we planned was, I ये पहले मेरा idea था कि let's not bring people into light if they are not comfortable. You have seen those ads, जिसमें they just recite the script and the faces are blurred. There's the ads on television. That was my initial plan that we're just gonna ask question, your faces will be blurred and your audio is going to tell the answers. That was my initial plan. If people are not comfortable, because the topic was either way too sensitive, it goes from being too sensitive or too controversial or too very heavy for people to talk about it. So I just wanted to keep it as light-hearted as possible. That's what I planned. But then initially we changed, no, let's do the podcast thing because you're moving towards YouTube. That would be much better for people to see. I know not many of the people are going to see this thing, but it's just for us people. We wanted to have this conversation with people we don't know. We wanted to know, like in
ठीक है.
general.
It's a good start, no?
What? Sorry, I
It's
didn't
a
get.
good start anyway. Like
Yeah,
The
because
number of people you interacted with, maybe it's helped to us only talking to people and
yeah.
understanding each other.
So like like जो mass com वाला था, we when I did with my batch people, so it went it up to 3 hours long. Okay, last night we yeah, I think 3 hours something. So I'm not entirely going to put the 3 hour wala content, but I'll just cut and cut. So it will be an hour something of podcast on YouTube. So I'm pretty much sure कि 1 घंटा तो कोई नहीं देखेगा, but it's just for our satisfaction. We just love talking to them, क्योंकि जब वो opinions एक साथ आते हैं ना अच्छे वाले, it's a good topic. They are good people and they know how to talk. You can go on and on and on with them for hours.
Yeah.
We actually plan to have another session tonight also. So let's see how it goes.
I think it's important to start somewhere, right? So this is good. This is like a
Yes.
beginning of something.
Yeah. So, wrapping up, आराम से. We'll see you soon with another episode. You can just wave bye to your people they're gonna see and stuff.
Anika, you know what to do.
What do I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do?
I don't know. We were going to do the lawyer's thing. What's wrong with you?
Karate chop. Slice chopper.
What do you think?
Bye.
You can't see that. Cool. Okay.
No, that's not it.
Okay. Bye
That's
everyone.
us.
Bye bye.
सौमी की तरफ से भी bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Finger guns.